There is a strange belief many people quietly carry inside their hearts. They believe happiness must come from something bigger. More money, more success, more recognition. They believe that one day, a golden opportunity will appear. And when it does, life will finally feel complete. But what if happiness does not live behind the golden door? What if it lives somewhere much quieter? Tonight, I want to tell you a story. A story about a man who was given a chance to choose anything he wanted in life. And yet he walked toward the door that seemed to promise nothing. In a small harbor town where fishing boats rocked gently against the docks, lived an old lantern keeper named Mateo. Every evening before sunset, Mateo walked along the pier carrying a small wooden ladder. One by one, he lit the lanterns that guided fishermen safely back to shore. The work was slow, quiet, and to most people, unimportant. The harbor town had grown over the years. New businesses opened. Young entrepreneurs talked about big plans and fast success. But Mateo never seemed interested in any of it. He lived in a small wooden cabin near the water. His roof creaked when the wind blew. His table was old. His meals were simple. Most nights he cooked soup made from vegetables he grew behind the house. Yet something about Mateo always puzzled the townspeople. He always smiled. Not the polite smile people give strangers, but the kind of calm smile that seems to come from deep inside someone's heart. When storms came and boats were damaged, Mateo still smiled. When winter arrived and the harbor froze over, Mateo still smiled. And when business owners complained about money, competition, and stress, Mateo listened quietly. Then he smiled. Many people wondered why. One autumn afternoon, a traveler arrived in the harbor town. He was not an ordinary traveler. He spoke little, but he observed everything. He noticed the restless merchants, the fishermen worried about tomorrow's catch, the young people chasing bigger cities and bigger dreams. But one person caught his attention more than anyone else: Mateo, the old lantern keeper. The traveler watched him for several days. Every evening, Mateo climbed his ladder and lit the lanterns along the pier. Every night, he returned home, slowly humming an old melody carried by the wind. Finally, one evening, the traveler approached him. "Tell me something," the traveler said. "You live with almost nothing. Your house is small. Your work is ordinary. Your life is quiet." He paused. "And yet, you seem happier than most people I meet." Mateo chuckled softly. "Well," he said, "maybe happiness doesn't need very much space." The traveler smiled slightly. Then he said something strange. "Perhaps you are right, but tonight I want to offer you a choice." Mateo raised an eyebrow. "A choice?" The traveler nodded. "Yes, 3 doors. Behind one of them is the thing most people spend their entire lives chasing. Behind the other 2, disappointment." Mateo laughed. "My friend," he said, "I'm an old man. I stopped chasing things a long time ago." But the traveler shook his head. "Still, you must choose." The traveler led Mateo outside the town. They walked across a quiet field just beyond the harbor cliffs. As the sun sank below the horizon, something unusual appeared in the middle of the field. 3 doors, standing alone. No walls, no buildings, just 3 doors facing the fading light. The first door was golden. It shimmered even in the dim evening glow. The second door was made of polished oak, strong, elegant. The third door looked forgotten. Rust covered its hinges. The wood was cracked, and dust clung to its surface like it had been standing there for years. The traveler folded his arms. "Choose carefully," he said. "Behind one door is the life people dream about. Behind the others, nothing." Mateo stood quietly. He looked at the golden door. He imagined wealth, recognition, comfort. Then he looked at the polished oak door. Perhaps success, opportunity, power. Finally, he turned toward the rusted door. He walked toward it slowly. The traveler frowned. "Wait," he said. "Why?" That one Mateo placed his hand gently on the worn handle. Then he smiled. "In my life," he said, "the most valuable things never came wrapped in gold." The rusted hinges creaked as Mateo opened the door. The traveler leaned forward, curious. Inside the doorway, there was nothing. No treasure, no miracle, just empty space and drifting dust. The traveler watched Mateo closely. Most people would feel disappointed, embarrassed, even angry. But Mateo simply laughed, not loudly, not dramatically, just a warm, quiet laugh. "Well," he said, "that makes sense." The traveler blinked. "You're not upset," Mateo shook his head. "Why would I be? I came here with nothing," he said. "And I'm leaving with the same thing I arrived with." He tapped his chest gently. "My peace." The traveler sighed. Then he walked over and opened the golden door. Behind it stood piles of shining gold coins, more wealth than Mateo could spend in 10 lifetimes. Next, he opened the oak door. Inside appeared a reflection. But it was not the Mateo standing beside him. The reflection showed a younger version of Mateo, strong, confident, dressed in fine clothes, a successful man admired by everyone in town. The traveler looked back at the old lantern keeper. "You could have had all of this," he said. "Wealth, respect, a completely different life." Mateo studied the doors quietly. Then he looked toward the distant harbor. The lanterns along the pier were beginning to glow in the darkness. Small lights, guiding fishermen home. Finally, he spoke. "Tell me something," Mateo said. "If I had chosen those doors, would I still know how to smile when storms come?" The traveler said nothing. Mateo continued. "Would I still enjoy the taste of a warm bowl of soup after a long day? Still silence? And would my heart still feel calm when the world becomes noisy?" The traveler slowly closed the doors. Mateo nodded gently. "I think," he said softly, "I already chose the best life a long time ago." The wind from the ocean carried the sound of waves across the field. Mateo turned and began walking back toward the harbor. The traveler watched him disappear into the evening mist. And as Mateo reached the first lantern on the pier, he lifted his ladder and lit the flame. One light, then another, until the harbor glowed softly in the dark. And somewhere inside that quiet light was a kind of wealth no door could ever hide. Most people spend their lives searching for the golden door. They believe happiness is waiting behind something bigger. More money, more success, more recognition. But sometimes the truth is much simpler. Peace does not come from what you gain. It comes from what you already know how to appreciate. The warmth of a meal, the quiet of an evening, the smile you carry even when life gives you nothing. Because in the end, the happiest people are not the ones who found treasure. They are the ones who learned how to smile, even when the door opens to an empty room. If this story made you think, write gratitude in the comments. And remember, sometimes the greatest wealth in life is simply learning how to say, "Today is enough."